The Assembly Committee on Government Affairs will come to order. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Assemblywoman Anderson. Assemblywoman Black. Assemblywoman Brown May. Assemblywoman Considine. Assemblywoman Dickman. Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblyman Ellison, Assemblywoman Martinez. Assemblyman Matthews. Assemblyman MacArthur. Assemblywoman Thomas. Assemblywoman Torres. Chair Flores.
Present. Madam Secretary, please let the record reflect all members are present. We have a quorum. Good morning, members. Quick house cleaning rules. I want to remind everybody to please silence your cell phones. I'm doing it myself as we speak. We have two items on the agenda this morning. We're going to take them out of order. We'll start off with Senator Harris, who's going to be presenting Senate Bill 237, and then we'll move into Senate Bill 127. I want to remind those of you who are joining us virtually that for those, and specifically those of you that wish to testify in support, opposition, or neutral, we will come to those who are here in person first, and then we'll go to Zoom, and then lastly, we'll go to those on the phone. If you intend to participate during public comment, we'll be doing that at the conclusion of today's hearing. So I just wanted to give everybody a lay of the land. And with that, I just want to remind folk that often you'll see us staring right at our laptop. Please don't take that as a sign of disrespect. We do that because most of us pull up our exhibits and are reading documents as the presentations are going on. And with that, I see Senator Harris here. Good morning. Welcome to your committee, your very hard-working Committee on Government Affairs. And we will now open the hearing on Senate Bill 237.
Good morning, Committee on Government Affairs. My name is Dallas Harris. Good morning, Chair. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear this bill today. I represent Senate District 11 in Southwest Clark County, and it is my pleasure to present Senate Bill 237 to you all today. I just want to confirm that we have Tim Houghtonberry from the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce available on video. If not, we will skip him. Skip him it is. Okay. So, Senate Bill 237 is a bill really that's designed to put LGBTQ businesses who are also disadvantaged on the same kind of footing as we have placed minority businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. I took the time to go through our NRS and add them in their, what I find to be rightful place, so that they can have access to additional information, additional assistance from the state treasurer's office, and the ability to bid for transportation projects in the same manner that other disadvantaged business entities do. It's what I would consider a fairly simple bill. You'll see the word LGBTQ a lot placed throughout the bill. Please note, you'll see there are two amendments. One was submitted by the Nevada Department of Transportation. We have Mr. Cole Mortensen here to discuss that amendment. If you all have questions related to that specifically, just over broad strokes, the intent of that amendment is to ensure that there are no conflicts between the state's program and the federal disadvantaged business entity program. I wanted to make sure that we don't risk losing any federal funding or that there aren't any conflicts. I wanted to make sure that when the federal government is ready to do what Nevada is about to do and add LGBTQ businesses, we are already well on our way to doing that, and it'll be a seamless transition. The second amendment you will see is an amendment from me. I'm trying to clean up the definition of LGBTQ just a little bit. As far as I know, this will be the first time the term is defined in the NRS, and so it's extremely important that we get it right. At this time, I see we have our esteemed treasurer, Zach Conine, on video, and I'd like to turn it over to him to talk a little bit about how this bill affects what the treasurer's office does, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair.
Please.
Mr. Conine.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be back. Thank you, Chair Flores and members of the committee. For the record, I am Zach Conine, and I have the privilege of being your state treasurer. Throughout the past year, small businesses across Nevada have struggled. Business owners have been forced to make tough choices as they've navigated trying to pay their bills and their employees in the midst of one of the worst economic downturns we've ever seen. Thankfully, through much needed aid from the federal government, through the leadership of Governor Sisolak and this legislature, vital assistance programs like the PETS program, our Pandemic Emergency Technical Support Grants, have ensured that disadvantaged businesses have been able to keep their doors open. Broadly speaking, Senate Bill 237 seeks to broaden the definition of the term disadvantaged business to be more inclusive of Nevada's LGBTQ community. By making this simple change, we can ensure that LGBTQ businesses can access the same types of assistance and loan programs afforded to minority-owned, women-owned, and veteran-owned businesses here in Nevada already. As we work through Nevada's economic recovery, we're going to need to make sure that all of Nevada's small businesses have a seat at the table and the tools they need. By elevating the voices of our LGBTQ business community, we can work collaboratively to create a state that is more inclusive and prosperous for all Nevadans. I want to thank Senator Harris for her leadership on this issue. I urge your support and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
So just quickly before we move into any questions, let's say theoretically you're sitting at your home on a Tuesday evening. You may get a call from the state treasurer letting you know that you've gotten a grant for some business that you own. Maybe you provide wood or timber to lots of different types of construction companies. I think if you are on Twitter as much as I am, you have seen that joy on people's face when they receive those calls from the treasurer's office. We're trying to make sure that we are capturing every entity in the state that should be able to have equal access and eventually get them off of these programs and grow them into big, striving, large corporations that bring in tax dollars and create jobs. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Senator. We appreciate you. And with that, we'll open it up for questions. Members? We'll start off with Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator, for the presentation this Wednesday morning. And I just had a question. So based off the hypothetical that you just mentioned, I just want to understand whether or not this would apply to the timber industry.
It would apply to every industry in the state. Because we are also focusing a little bit on the Nevada Department of Transportation, I imagine that you might have a few of those companies apply as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Members, any additional questions? We'll go to Assemblywoman Thomas, please.
Good morning, Chair, and I appreciate this presentation by Senator Harris. SB 237, yesterday on Tuesday when I was going over this bill, I was a little timberish about it. And when I was reading, it struck me in section, I want to get this right, that's why I'm being a little, as I say, timberish about it. Section 1, subsection 4, 4B. Help me understand. I don't understand when we are saying it's owned by a natural person who identifies as LGBTQ. Natural person, that struck me, it stood out. And then I get into the veteran when it says it's owned by a natural person. So do I have to prove that I am LGBTQ? Do I have to prove that I am a veteran? Because that's what it's saying to me, that I have to prove, in order to get these dollars. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Assemblywoman Thomas, to you through Chair Flores. Natural person is a term that was placed in by our Legal Counsel Bureau. I'm not sure if there is a standard definition of natural person or what the complete impetus was behind that. I do not believe that piece is intended to require you to prove whether you're a veteran or LGBTQ, although I do understand that there will be processes in place as they exist today to ensure that there's no fraud in the program.
Thank you. Follow-up, Chair?
Please, follow up.
Okay, so I know that as a veteran, I can prove my service with my DD 214. But I don't know, how do you prove that, you're a lesbian, gay, bisexual, pansexual? How do you prove that to prevent fraud? Thank you.
Thank you for the follow-up question, Assemblywoman Thomas, to you through Chair Flores. I'm married to a woman. I've got a marriage certificate. I can imagine that would be one way of proving it. I would also suggest, I get this question a lot. It is my firm belief that there are a lot of people who are actually hiding these identities as opposed to taking them on for any perceived advantage that they might feel that they have in society. In actuality, there is no advantage to holding these identities, and what you see is folks really afraid to come out and identify in these ways. I have faith in the system, in the treasurer, in NDOT, in our small business enterprise program, which, by the way, already includes these LGBTQ businesses, that they will continue to take a look at full applications and vet them appropriately.
Thank you, Senator. You have had me concerned on Tuesday night, and I am fully understanding this right now. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. Next, we'll go to Assemblywoman Considine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator, for the presentation and for the bill. I guess my question is about your amendment and is somewhat aligned with what Assemblywoman Thomas was talking about, her concerns on Tuesday. So in your amendment, you have taken out pansexual, transsexual, intergender, and asexual. And initially, my question was going to be simply like, why did you take that out? But now, now my question, I guess, is a little bit further along, because I know, as you said, this will be like the definition. But does removing these specific things make it easier to determine who fulfills these? Because let's say that I own a Timbers. Sorry, I'm just love like Taco Tuesday, and I want to apply for these, and I don't fall under any of the other things, but I am pansexual. That is potentially much more difficult to prove. So I guess my question is why this definition specifically, and does that help or harm the overall goal? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Assemblywoman. To you through Chair Flores, I think you are hitting exactly on the goal that I'm trying to accomplish here. I want the definition to be both inclusive, but also tight enough that it can be a guide for using it in the future, and also to address some concerns that I'll admit even some of my colleagues on the Senate side had as well about the definition and how expansive it might have been, and how do you prove that you're asexual, and so I've tried to tighten it up. If you take a look at transsexual, it's actually not substantively different from transgender, and so there was no need to really have both of those definitions, and so or both of those terms, and so yes, the goal is to clean it up, to make it so that it's not so ambiguous, and to address some of those concerns about folks trying to find a way to fit into any of these definitions when they don't necessarily do so.
Thank you. Quick follow-up, Chair?
Please follow up.
Thank you. So then this definition, is your intent to have this definition specifically only for this bill or this area of the NRS?
Thank you for the question, Assemblywoman, to you through Chair Flores. Yes, that's how the statute is designed. It applies to each section, but I did note as I went through and I was trying to do a search of the NRS that the term LGBTQ is not currently defined anywhere else. And so I also wanted to be cognizant of the fact that this may be referenced or used in the future as we start to use these terms a bit more.
Thank you.
Members, any additional questions? And we'll go to Assemblywoman Anderson, please.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing forward the language. I just wanted to make sure that verifying correctly that the amendment coming from the Department of Transportation will, at the new language of number 6, will include instead the language that you have also amended out. Is that correct?
Thank you for the question, Assemblywoman Anderson. Yes, it is my intention that the LGBTQ definition I put forward would occur throughout the bill and work in conjunction with the changes from NDOT.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. Assemblyman Matthews, please.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I spent a considerable amount of time on Tuesday reading through this bill, and then obviously with the amendment saying that the guts of it, the timber, if you will, have been kind of removed from it. My only question had to do with just the breadth of the definition and whether you anticipated any potential problem. Anytime you have something like this, you want to make sure the intent is honored and it's not potentially subject to manipulation. And I just wanted to see if stakeholders you've talked with, if any concerns have been adequately addressed regarding that scope of that definition. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Assemblyman Matthews. I've tried to nail it down. I can't represent that everyone is perfectly happy with the definition, but in my estimation, I think I've come to a nice, clean space, and I'm more than willing to continue to work on it as folks reach out to me. At this point, I have not heard any additional concerns, but I am open to further discussions if needed.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any additional questions? Being that I think, Senator, when I was reading this on Tuesday, better said last night, I know that a lot of the concerns pretty much went down timber through the through your amendment. So thank you for that.
Absolutely my pleasure, Chair.
So, excuse me. So
I got to come up here more often.
So at this time, we'll go to those wishing to testify in support. So I don't believe we have anybody in the room, or do we have somebody wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 237? Yes? Please, if I could have you come up at this time.
Yeah, quickly, though, I think if we can have just NDOT, if you don't mind, Chair, talk a little bit about the amendment.
Please.
And then I believe we do have one person in person who'd like to testify, but she'd like to hear from NDOT first.
And I
if
would
that's
like
okay.
to say thank you to NDOT. I know that a lot of work was put in both on the Senate side and on this side, and language was worked on all the way up until last night. So I just wanted to say thank you for everybody working on this collaboratively and finding this common ground. So thank you for that. We'll do that at this time.
Good morning, Chair Flores and the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs. For the record, my name is Cole Mortensen, Deputy Director for the Nevada Department of Transportation. And I'd like to thank Senator Harris for working with us on the amendment. I think one of our chief concerns was making sure that we had a way of ensuring that we somewhat separated the state's efforts in this area with the federal efforts, which don't recognize the LGBT community yet, but we're hopeful that they will. And so with this amendment, it actually allows us to continue to track and to reach out to that community and to start getting these businesses certified and to make sure that we can start setting goals in the future that will help foster our small businesses. Thank you.
And thank you. Senator, are we good to go with those wishing now to testify in support? So we'll come back down. We'll start off here in the committee room, and then we'll make our way back to Zoom and then to the phone. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Alexis Motorex with the Nevada Chapter Associated General Contractors, representing the commercial construction industry in Northern Nevada. We had some concerns with the original bill as it was drafted, but are pleased to support it as presented with the NDOT amendment. And we would like to thank the sponsors and NDOT very much for hearing our concerns and addressing them with this language. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I appreciate all the work that was put in up until this morning. And we'll continue with those wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 237. My understanding is we don't have anybody else in person, and so we'll make our way back to Zoom. Do we have anybody else in Zoom? And I'm checking now to see if we do. I don't believe we do, but we may. I don't believe we have anybody else wishing to testify in Zoom, but if we do, could you please just announce yourself? Perfect. So at this time, we'll go to the phone lines. Broadcast, if we could please go to those wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 237.
To testify in support of Senate Bill 237, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 534, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes and may begin.
Yeah, this is Skip Daly. Last name is spelled D-A-L-Y, representing the Laborers Union Local 169. And with the NDOT and the Senator Harris amendment, I think both are useful. We can be in support. I think this basically clarifies an existing program and will make it the existing program better. So with that, appreciate your time today, committee, and thank you for your time. Thanks.
And thank you, Mr. Daly. We'll go to the next caller wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 237.
Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Understood. Thank you. We'll go to those wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 237, please.
To testify in opposition to Senate Bill 237, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. And we'll go to those wishing to testify in the neutral position to Senate Bill 237.
To testify in the neutral position on Senate Bill 237, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in the neutral position at this time.
Thank you. And with that, Senator, any closing remarks you may have?
Thank you so much, Chair Flores. I just want to thank the committee for their time today. I truly appreciate it. I want to let you all know that I'm open to answer any additional questions that you all may have, and I look forward to being with you all again very soon. Have a great morning.
Thank you, Senator. We appreciate your presentation and work on this bill. With that, we'll go ahead and close out the hearing on Senate Bill 237. And next on the very exciting agenda of the Government Affairs Committee today is Senate Bill 127. And we're going to talk a little bit about the city charter of Mesquite. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's been an unusual time when somebody calls me exciting. It must be the bill that's exciting.
I can think of no other word.
Not going to go there, thank you. I'll take what I can get. The Charter Committee and the City Council of the City of Mesquite came up with an amendment to the charter proposing for your committee. And it allows the city of Mesquite to deal with appointments that are made by the mayor and allows the mayor to nominate, which he already has, but it allows an opportunity if the appointment is not approved by 4 votes, the city council and the mayor each having a vote, then it goes down to an orderly process. And I have the mayor of Mesquite, and if you think I'm exciting, then the mayor of Mesquite is just really exciting. Al Littman's here, the city manager is here, and Warren Hardy, the illustrious former state senator and now paid lobbyist, and always fights for the right for his people. So I would love to have them explain any circumstances that would be a problem, but more than likely there aren't any, and that's how I'll introduce them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And thank you for your presentation. And so we'll go to our Zoom, and whoever wishes to commence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Warren Hardy, representing the city of Mesquite today. Thank you, Senator Hardy, for that introduction. Mr. Chairman, a couple of sessions ago when we did the charter for Mesquite, which was the first charter that had been done in the state of Nevada, I think in over almost 25 years. Through your hard work, through the help of then Assemblyman Skip Daly and then Assemblywoman Dina Neal, I bragged to this committee that we came up with we had developed the perfect charter. I was a little off on that, but not far, not much. We do have a very, very good charter in the city of Mesquite that we think sets the standard. However, when we had our city manager retire and had to replace the city manager, we noticed a defect a potential defect in the charter. In fact, our Mayor Al Littman, who's here and will speak specifically to that, noticed a potential problem with the process. Now, I'm happy to report that in this case, in hiring our current city manager, it didn't actually become a problem. The Senate committee was very interested to hear the backstory. I'm happy to report there was no backstory. The mayor just noticed that this could potentially be a problem. I would describe, before being specific on what the bill does, I will describe the process that we employ in the city of Mesquite. Having spent some time on the Government Affairs Committee, I know it's helpful to the committee for us to come forward with a concise recommendation that is approved supported by the community. So our process is such that the Charter Commission in Mesquite is independent of the City Council. They can propose changes, they can propose amendments to the charter independent of any of the political activities in Mesquite, which they have done in this case. However, as a point of professional courtesy, it's the policy of the committee to bring those recommended changes to the City Council for their consideration. In this case, we have a unanimous recommendation from both the Charter Commission and the City Council for this change. Essentially, as drafted, the charter provides that really the mayor is the only one that can bring forward nominations to fill the position of city manager and city attorney. Mayor Littman recognized that could be problematic and could create a stalemate situation. So what this change proposes to do, Mr. Chair, is provide for the opportunity for the mayor to make the initial nomination for those positions as they become available. But if his or her recommendation fails to get the required number of votes, that the council can then, the floor can be open to the council to make recommendations as well that would have the same requirements for a vote as far as the nominee. So that's the change. Again, it has not become an issue, but we wanted to nip it in the bud. And if it pleases the chair, I'd like to have, since Mayor Littman was the one that came up with this, and I know it does somewhat potentially limit the powers of the mayor, we asked him to be here to explain why he thought this was important. Mr. Chair, the rest of the participants today are here to answer questions. I have the city manager. I also have Adam Anderson, who was the chair of the Charter Commission when this change was recommended. And I'm not sure if Mr. Wiest joined us or not, but he is the current chair of the Charter Commission and wanted to be here to express his support, but it doesn't look like he was able to join us. So with that, Mr. Chair, if it pleases you, I'd like to have Mayor Al Littman take just a couple of minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Pardon my very casual appearance this morning. I'm working at home on some home tasks and didn't dress for the day. This amendment that I found originally when we were going through this would put the mayor in an awkward position, as well as the city council, the way it was currently done, because I could make a choice and then the council would reject that choice without the number of votes, and then would have to come back to me again, and it would just continue in that circle. And this way it cleans it up very nicely and allows the council to do the nominations also. And it potentially could come back to the mayor. But at least this gives the council an opportunity to also make nominations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that, we'll be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you. I think we all appreciate the comfort of your outfit today, sir. I think we all wish you could just be wearing a hat and hanging out. Yeah, no, it's more, all of us in here are also dressed in jeans today for a very important reason and for a very symbolic purpose, but so we're all with you there. With that, Senator, thank you again for your presentation, and I know some of us had the pleasure of working on this charter in the past, and we thought it was perfect, so for you to come back and try to change it hurts our feelings, sir. But thank you for that, and members, we'll open it up for questions. We'll start off with Assemblyman Ellison, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Mr. Hardy. I do have a question, how your charter is right now. Is the charter appointed or are they elected? The members.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I might have to punt that to Mr. Adam Anderson. My recollection is that they're currently appointed by members of the council, but I better verify that.
Yes, and this is Adam. I was chair of the charter committee at the time. I'm currently the interim city attorney for the city of Mesquite. But yes, the members of the charter committee, certain members of the council have an appointment, and then the charter committee itself elects one additional member. And Senator Hardy has an appointment, and Assemblywoman Black also has an appointment to the committee. So that's how the committee is formed.
Follow up, Mr.
Follow, please.
Mr. Hardy, wouldn't it be better that those that make that decision are elected, not appointed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that question. So I think that's important that we have a distinction between the appointment of the Charter Commission itself and the members of the City Council. So in the appointment of the members of the Charter Commission, we followed what was considered best practices throughout the state for the creation of the Charter Commission. And so we felt that there was a tie back to the elected representative, much like there is on a planning commission or other advisory boards. So that's the best practice that we felt at the time and continue to feel is the best practice for appointing that board. But the elected officials are the ones that will make the decision on the hiring of these individuals. So the Charter Commission simply makes changes, or recommends changes or implements changes as requested by the members of the public. So we felt it was important to follow that best practice in the state. And this bill does nothing to change or alter the Charter Commission at all. That's not our suggestion here. And we believe, to the chairman's point, that it is perfect and has worked perfect in the process of getting this in front of you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Next, we'll go to Assemblywoman Thomas, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Hardy and Mr. Hardy, for bringing this bill forward. I do have a question or concern, actually. You know, in reading and trying to understand where the amendment came in, I'm still seeing sort of like a quagmire with the process, because if two persons on the council decides to go against the mayor and his choice, you're still at, you know, ground one, going right back over. It's like Groundhog's Day. You're just going over and over and over the same process. So I, you know, do agree with Assemblyman Ellison why these two pertinent positions are not elected positions. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I think Assemblywoman Thomas raises a valid point that I think we'll take under advisement and take back to the community to discuss. I don't know the breakdown in the community or in the state in terms of, I'm not aware of any elected city managers or city attorneys, but it's certainly an issue that we can consider and take back to our charter commission. But again, our charter follows essentially best practices and what's accepted in charters throughout the state. But I do take that recommendation or that suggestion or concern seriously, and we will take that back to our charter commission and the city council.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. I think we just got confirmation from our analyst and attorney that I believe Reno's city attorney is elected. Members, any additional questions? Seeing none at this time, thank you all for joining us this morning. Again, Senator, thank you for your presentation. And at this time, we'll go to those wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 127. I don't see anybody else here wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 127, so we'll go to the phone lines. Broadcast, please.
To testify in support of Senate Bill 127, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
We are very surprised by that. So we will now invite those wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 127.
To testify in opposition to Senate Bill 127, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Wow. See if we can go all three. We'll see. We'll go now to those wishing to testify in the neutral position for Senate Bill 127.
To testify in the neutral position on Senate Bill 127, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in the neutral position at this time.
I don't know how you did it, Senator. Such an exciting charter bill, and you managed to get 0 folks to call in. Wow, impressive. Senator, any closing remarks you may have?
I appreciate the time that the Assembly Committee has spent on this and the thoughtfulness that have come from the comments. I appreciate that, and I think the mayor and the Charter Commission people are interested in your comments, and we'll take them to heart. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, committee.
Thank you, Senator. Before you leave, I believe our Madam Vice Chair does have a question.
Thank you. And I think it's the question that the majority of the committee wanted to know throughout the hearing. We were just wondering if there was a relation between Senator Hardy and Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Please do.
I have tried to be related to Mr. Hardy, and his family won't let me be. But thank you for the generous opportunity to ask that question again.
Fair enough. I'm happy we clarified that for the record.
Thank you.
I'd like to just add, welcome. our family anytime. And I will say he's the only Hardy in Nevada that I'm aware of that I'm not related to. So I don't know how he pulled that off, but thank you for the question, Madam Vice Chair.
Senator Hardy and Mr. Hardy, thank you both again for the presentation. We appreciate the light humor this morning and everybody indulging us through that playfulness.
Thank you.
So thank you all again, and I'm sure members will reach out should we have any additional questions or concerns. But with that, we'll go ahead and close out the hearing on Senate Bill 127. And I would like for those of you wishing to testify for public comment to please join us. I want to remind you that this is not a time to reopen a hearing. It is for you to speak on general matters that fall within the purview of this committee. Please do not try to reopen a hearing, as I'll have to cut you off. We'll start first with public comment here in person, and then we'll make our way back to the phone lines. And I do see Mr. Daly here for public comment. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, good morning. My name is Chris Daly, Nevada State Education Association, the voice of Nevada educators for over 120 years. On Monday, 40 educators from across the state convened here for our Educator Lobby Day. Thank you to all of you who sat down and listened to educators this week. One of the concerns raised was the impact of language included in SB 543 last session, the new school funding formula, which buried deep, I think on page 64 of that legislation, includes a change in the amount of ending fund balance walled off from collective bargaining up to 16.6% of district operating budgets. Unless amended, this provision is set to go into effect on July 1st of this year, and it would amount to be one of the biggest anti-union shifts in the collective bargaining process in decades. Just a little bit of history. Back in the late 60s, teacher strikes and walkouts became increasingly common in Nevada, both in the north and in the south. In response to this and a movement across the country, Republican Senator Carl Dodge brought forward Nevada's public sector collective bargaining process, which we now better know as NRS 288. This provided public employers and employees a process for discussion and resolution of differences regarding wages, hours, conditions of employment, while ensuring that services to the public would continue without interruption. The collective bargaining process is designed to push parties to reach agreement whenever possible. This is accomplished through a series of proposals and counter-proposals where parties move towards agreement. It also includes binding arbitration with a last best offer package. If parties cannot reach agreement, either side can declare impasse. Under this method, parties present their proposals to an arbitrator who accepts either the association's position or the district's position, and both parties are bound to that arbitration decision. If this process also requires parties to determine district's ability to pay for the items before the arbitrator. That is why the issue of ending fund balance is so critical. In most negotiations, ending fund balance is the main source of funds identified to pay for proposals that are in those packages. So if an employee association it has a proposal for a 2% pay increase, for example, there's a process to cost that proposal out. Typically, a district will stipulate to the cost of that, and then the employee association then is obligated to prove that the district has those funds. If the July 1st 16.6 language goes into effect, basically employees will never be able to prove that districts will be able to pay for even the most modest proposals that have an economic cost to it. This is not just wages, this is also benefits like health care, retirement. This also includes proposals usually around safety issues in the workplace, oftentimes have a cost. And I'm hoping that this legislature does not let this session expire and that July 1st language to take effect, which really would be one of the biggest steps backward in terms of labor peace and the collective bargaining process for educators and school districts in the state of Nevada. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Daly. We appreciate you joining us this morning. We don't have anybody else here in person, so we'll go to those wishing to join us for public comment via phone. Broadcast, please.
To take place in the public comment queue, please press *9 now. Caller with the last three digits of 556. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes and may begin. Again, caller with the last three digits of 556, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes and may begin. Chair, apparently there are no more callers in PC at this time.
Thank you for that. And I know sometimes if you were trying to call in for public comment, I know sometimes we have some technical issues, so please feel free to message the committee manager and or analyst if there's something you wanted to be on the record. With that, members, I want to remind you that tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be meeting again at 9 a.m. in this room. We have Senate Bill 12 and Senate Bill 138. Please give yourself an opportunity to review that ahead of time. And before we adjourn, I think it's important that we recognize that today is Denim Day here. We are all participating, and if I could just very briefly read the purpose of Denim Day. The Supreme Court of Italy ruled an 18-year-old rape victim survivor had implied consent because her jeans were so tight she must have assisted in their removal. The next day, the women of the Italian parliament wore jeans in solidarity, sending a powerful message against victim blaming and shaming. In honor of that spirit, Denim Day is a day to bring awareness to sexual assault and to provide a visible means of protest against misconceptions that surround sexual violence. For all survivors, just know that we see you, we hear you, and we believe you, and we are today wearing denim in your honor and recognizing you and seeing you. So with that, this meeting's adjourned.